7 p.m. Yes, they did. You should.
I walked on my office. Right. Yeah. So it was home being out of luck.
Yeah. I am not willing.
Taking a couple pictures.
Yeah, I was like, that's fourth part guy. Big county of Florida. One of those.
You're right about.
Oh, well, that's great. Right, you're right. I need to stop this. Yeah.
Built
Right. Very dangerous, like you find it. That's going to work out. Exactly. Right.
Right at the side.
Right. I got time. Did I say that?
Okay, we're gonna get started. Good evening, everyone. Louder. All right. Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. My name is Terry Hill. I am the director of the Jersey City Free Public Library. We are the largest municipal library in the state of New Jersey, and I wholeheartedly believe we are the best thing going in the city. So before I go any further, I do want to thank all my staff who are here making this evening possible. They're in the background doing all the technical things. So thank you, Jersey City Library staff. I also want to thank our partners at the Alliance and the Van Voorst Neighborhood Association for helping us make this event possible. And also thank the candidates for joining us tonight to share their time and perspectives with the community. So now I'm going to call up Kayla Burrell, and she's going to speak a moment about the Alliance.
Thanks, Terry, and thank you all for being here this evening. Can you hear me? Yeah. No? Okay, help now? Yeah. All right. So before Terry officially kicks things off, I do want to take a moment to introduce the Alliance. We launched about a year ago, originally as the Jersey City LGBTQ+ Alliance, and we're an independent organization that partners closely with local leaders, other organizations, and community members across Jersey City, as well as Hudson County. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, or have an idea for a future project or event, we'd love to hear from you. We have brochures in the foyer that you can take on your way home, or you can speak directly to either myself or Dave, who's sitting there in the front row. So with that, I'm going to hand it back off to Terry. Thank you so much.
So before we begin, I want to remind everyone that tonight is an opportunity for us to listen and to learn. We ask everyone to remain respectful and mindful of one another, the moderators, and the candidates. Please allow each candidate the space to speak and be heard so we can ensure a constructive and welcoming environment. So now I would like to introduce our moderators for the evening. I am pleased to introduce Katie Jennings. She is a proud resident of Jersey City's West Side, a former reporter for Politico New Jersey and Forbes, and now the co-writer of the hyperlocal newsletter Neighborhood Character. Her neighborhood library is the West Bergen branch, which is my favorite branch, don't do it. So she sends a shout out to Miss Debbie, Miss Sheena, and Miss Mary. If you've ever visited the West Bergen branch, you will know them quite well. So Katie, if you want to come on and join us. Our second moderator is Mr. Rashid Chambers. Rashid is a serial entrepreneur and community leader. He is the founder and CEO of eCode Learning Center, where he has partnered with schools, libraries, and organizations across the city to bring innovative STEM programs to youth, teens, and seniors. He also leads NJ Web Studios, a digital agency, and FinLit Enterprise, which supports credit education and mentorship for entrepreneurs. So we're grateful to have both Katie and Rashid here to guide us through tonight's conversation. So please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. We are streaming on the library YouTube and Instagram channels. If you have any friends who weren't able to make it tonight but want to listen along, we'd love to have them join. So I'm going to go over the ground rules for our candidates. We will have 90 seconds for introductions and closing statements. We have a timekeeper and we are going to keep you to 90 seconds. Then For each question, you will also have 90 seconds to answer each question. We are not going to have rebuttals or follow-ups. And we would ask that you speak to your own policies. And so refrain from making comments about the other candidates, but please speak to your own policies and what you will do for Jersey City. As Terry said, we hope that everyone will maintain a respectful tone, as the Jersey City Free Public Library is a welcoming space for all.
All right, so definitely we're gonna have a great time today. It's gonna be very informative. I'm going to go over the audience guidelines. I'm gonna ask for the audience. This is directly addressed to the audience. Please be respectful and help to maintain a welcoming environment, okay? All right, no interruptions while the candidates are speaking, and if you are going to applaud, please do so after they have finished their response. No shouting, heckling, or personal attacks, and also please make sure that all phones are on silent or vibrate. All right, now we will allow the candidates to introduce themselves. Candidates, you will have 90 seconds to have an opening statement. One moment. Candidate Masab Ali, we'll start with you and we'll work our way down.
Fantastic. Sorry, just a quick question on the time here. So you just let us know 30 and then 10, 30 and then time's up.
That's correct.
Okay, fantastic.
Make a buzzer noise.
All right, let me know when. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I want to give a big shout out to the Alliance and the Jersey City Public Library for hosting this. My name is Musab Ali. I'm running to be your next mayor here in Jersey City. Here's a little bit about my background. I grew up here in Jersey City. I went to our public schools. And when I was 20 years old, the city elected me to serve on the Jersey City Board of Education. It sort of changed the trajectory of my life and taught me the importance of government and our day-to-day functions. By the time I was 23, I was entrusted with our children's future in a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. And so I was responsible during the COVID-19 to figure out how to reopen our schools. During that process, I actually was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I said to myself, look, if I get a second chance in my life, I want to do exactly what I'm doing, public service. And so that's why I'm here today, because so many people who had my back at my darkest moments can no longer afford to be here. And so you're going to hear a lot about our campaign for affordability. This is a campaign where we are focused on building more housing, especially more affordable housing. We're focused on building a fast and free bus system that connects the entire city. And we're the only campaign that does not take any money from city vendors or city contractors. That means you might not get as many mailers, you might not see as many billboards, but what we do have is our independence. And that to me is our most valuable thing. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Christina Freeman and I'm running for mayor of Jersey City. I was born and raised here. I'm a mother of a 4-year-old, a police officer of 6 years, and a student at NJCU studying sociology. My journey has always been about service and resilience. Now I'm ready to bring the same commitment as a leader for the city. I'm running because Jersey City deserves leadership rooted in people, not politics. My platform focuses on 3 core priorities: affordable housing, youth services, public safety, and public safety. On housing, I plan to expand income-based options so working families and seniors and first-time home buyers can remain here. Through my plan for a Freeman Legacy Housing Program, we will prioritize long-time residents and introduce dollar incentive properties and partner with nonprofit to ensure affordability for generations to come. My campaign is about real issues and real solutions, not promises that never reach the people. Together, we can stand up for Jersey City and build a city that's affordable, safe, and inclusive for all. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim McGreevy, born in the great city of Jersey City. I previously served in the state legislature as governor. And basically what motivates me to run is that I see Jersey City as an iconic city, but I also see that we've experienced such significant development, but there are real concerns. Those concerns including affordability, and what I've committed to is 1,000 rental units, affordable rent, 1,000 senior units. I also understand the importance of having a government that works. And if you look at the fiscal irregularities, whether in terms of this Board of Education or Jersey City, in terms of the municipal government, there are real areas of concern. In addition, obviously, our school system. If you want a great city, you have to have a great school system. And I realize the JCBOE is a separate entity, but it's something very much I want to engage with. I think nothing is more important than literacy and functioning literacy. And lastly is public safety. I want a public safety department, a police department, a fire department that's responsive, that yields a 911 system that works and works promptly. And again, I just want to say thank you to the Alliance. I want to say thank you to Terry. My only complaint to the libraries, I couldn't get my old yellow library card. I've got a monster on my card. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good evening, I'm County Commissioner Bill O'Day. I'm running for mayor because I've dedicated my life to Jersey City. I was born here. I spent a lot of hours as a kid in this library, having gone to St. Joe's School. It's only a few blocks away. It's changed a bit, but back in those days, I had to look up the articles in order to be able to do the work. I'm all about helping people. I've made my entire lifetime career about helping people. When it comes to affordable housing, I actually know how to get it built. I actually know how to put the subsidies together. I actually know how to get financing done. I'm committed to separating police and fire, to making sure that police officers don't over-respond to calls, but are deployed properly. When it comes to the budget, I voted against more tax increases than anybody on the stage, but that's not the only solution, because it's easy to vote against tax increases. I know and understand the difficulty of the city's current budget situation. It's rough. It's got $100 million or more operating deficit, and you don't solve that overnight. It takes tough decisions, it takes courage, and it takes putting in a plan that doesn't take 1 year, it takes 4 years. I'm here to help. I'm here because, most importantly, Jersey City Mayor needs someone with a proven record of really caring. Thank you.
My name is James Solomon. I'm a current city councilman and one of the candidates for mayor. Thank you to our moderators, my fellow candidates, the incredible Jersey City Free Public Library, my hometown VBNA or home neighborhood, and then the Alliance Jersey City. So Jersey City is an extraordinary city, as all of you know, testament to the fact that this is a packed room of people who care about its future. And for me, it's a city where my wife and I got engaged and married. It's a city where I both got and beat cancer. And it's a city where my 3 daughters were born and attend public school. And I always say that Jersey City deserves a government as good as its people. And too often we don't get it. And in particular, over the last decade, we have seen rents rise to the point where we are now one of the least affordable cities in the entire country. We have seen property taxes rise 50%. And as we knock doors, we routinely get the heartbreaking conversation of a resident saying, I love this city, I want to stay in the city, but the next rent increase, the next property tax increase is going to push me out of this. So we are running a campaign that is laser focused on affordability, of making sure that people can afford to stay in Jersey City. And we've got a plan to do it. We're going to get tough on developers, and we are going to demand that they put homes people can afford in new developments. Rents at $1,000, rents at $1,500 a month. Then we are going to ensure that the people who serve this city can live in this city as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you much for your introductions. We do appreciate it. We're going to start with our first question. And the candidate we're going to select to answer the first question, and we will again pass the mic down until we come to the end where you are, James, and then we will retrieve the microphone and come to you for the final answer to this question. Candidate Masad Ali. Jersey City Free Public Library is the largest municipal library system in New Jersey, but many branches are in urgent need of repairs and long-term infrastructure upgrades. Since the library occupies city-owned buildings and relies on operating funds for capital repairs, what is your plan to address critical capital needs, to make the buildings ADA compliant, and to resolve life safety issues?
Okay, thank you. Our libraries are safe spaces for equity, learning, and connection. In terms of making them ADA compliant, I would make sure that funding is allocated to the libraries so that they can get the upgrades that they need. I would also like to extend to where the libraries are more community spaces, to allow youth to come in and seniors to have spaces where they can just come together as a community and pretty much fellowship, and a space where resources can also be found in terms of like social services and other things of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to echo, I mean, our libraries are the cornerstone, should be the cornerstone of thinking of our community. So I see our libraries as fully integrated. So often in Jersey City, you have the Board of Education, you have the library system, you have City Hall. I think libraries are the cornerstone of literacy. Libraries should also be in the business of potentially offering, whether it's vaccinations, different opportunities, senior citizens. So we have to make sure that our libraries at a minimum are ADA compliant, which is so critically important. And so whether it's banking reinvestment funds, because for those libraries that are in historically disadvantaged areas, whether utilizing the state EDA or whether it's financing bonds over the course of the life of the library and amortizing that reimbursement schedule. The goal is to make sure that our libraries are centers of welcome, centers of learning, and to also make sure that they're accessible for our children. And that's so critically important. So I would reconfigure libraries with the great Terry Hill to understand the importance of literacy, working with the boards of education, working with the city, but understanding the libraries as a dynamic place for Jersey City citizens to gather. To do that, it has to be ADA compliant, and we can do this by financing or amortizing the cost of those development over a prolonged period of time. Thank you.
So the libraries need to be upgraded, they need to be renovated, and capital bonds is the way that you do it. The city has failed in recent years to provide the capital bonding necessary to do it. Right now, we're in a library, Terry, you can refute me if I'm wrong, that needs asbestos abatement. That's damn frightening. We're in a building that needs asbestos abatement. Just to do the upgrades, renovation, ADA accessibility for this library is estimated at $5 to $6 million. The second main library will take the library Miller Branch, $2 million needed for ADA and other upgrades. And then the Priscilla Gardner, the main library, $8 to $10 million needed in capital budget. Those dollars need to be bonded for. The city has a large ability to bond up to $600 million more. We just need to do it. We can't keep kicking it down the curb. We can't keep avoiding the issue. We can't let libraries run down because we need them to be better spaces, places to learn, places to meet, places to congregate. I just left a commissioner meeting and libraries are now places to do right to know events for our undocumented because they're afraid to go to other places. So we need our libraries for our children. We need them for our seniors, but we've got to fix them. It's pretty simple. I figured out how much it costs because I called up and asked. $18 million, year one, we'll start to do the capital bonding necessary.
Thank you, candidate O'Day.
So the city government has failed to produce a capital budget each year. So we do an operating budget each year. We do not do a capital budget. And that is part of the reason I have voted against every single budget on my time on council and have pushed the mayor and administration to adopt the appropriate financial practices that they have yet to do. So in my administration, you have a commitment, an annual capital budget that will have the library's needs immediately within it. And as the commissioner said, I had the pleasure of touring a number of the libraries with the library staff to physically see the conditions. And in particular, as in the Miller branch desperately needs repairs and it needs them now. So you have my commitment to prioritize the repairs on Miller Branch first in that first year's capital budget, but then put every library's needs in an orderly capital budget over the next 4 to 5 years. And as all of my colleagues have talked about, the reason is because the libraries are a core institution in our city. The $1 invested in a library returns more than a dollar invested in most things that we do. They provide social services. They are core to education. They are safe spaces for children, for folks who are undocumented, and for seniors. We need our libraries to be a shining beacon. And I'll particularly shout out the Pavonia branch because that's my kid's favorite library and they love Miss Tiara there. So thank you guys.
If I could just take a point of privilege here, we've done such a fantastic job in terms of turnout. I know there's many people here in the audience. If you have an empty seat next to you, if you guys can just move in and just call for that. I think there's a lot of people who are standing, and I see some people who are elderly or young who may want to sit down. If we can just move together a little bit to allow all these people, we've done such a fantastic job. I'm not sure we're at a fire hazard yet, but I think the library will let us know about that. So if people want to take a seat that are standing, please feel free. You just give a second there. Okay, fantastic. Good. All right. So if anybody knows how libraries are funded, there is actually a required tax that the city has to give on the ratables towards libraries. There's a minimum assessed value. The reason we have the largest municipal system is not because we have the largest population, but actually because we have the largest taxable base in the state of New Jersey. In fact, Jersey City's ratables are 3 times as large as any other city in New Jersey combined. That is such tremendous growth that we've seen here. However, to the point that others have made, we haven't kept up with these costs, especially when it comes to, doing these bonds. Unfortunately, the city just went through credit bond rating decreases. And so what I think really needs to get done is people need to go back to the taxpayers, because the New Jersey law allows us to go to taxpayers to ask for a small additional increase when it comes to funding our libraries. And the reality is libraries are an institution that people love. And I think people are willing to pay a little bit more if they know what that money's going towards. If you told them, hey, we could get some real air conditioning in this auditorium, right? That's something that we want, right? If we told them, hey, here are the programs that we're going to be funding within our libraries, people are willing to make those investments. And so as mayor, I promise to have the courage to stand up and go to our taxpayers and request that they make the investments that are necessary and make sure that we can come together to build a system that the city deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next question, we will start with candidate McGreedy. The library is often sought as a community hub where residents turn for information, resources, and access to vital services. How do you see the library's role in advancing equity, inclusion, and civic engagement across Jersey City? And how would your administration partner with the Jersey City Free Public Library to expand services such as digital access, workforce support, community health, and connections to social and human services? Before you answer, here's an example. Would the city support initiatives like placing social workers or city staff at library branches to provide office hours and ensure residents have first access to critical services in their neighborhoods?
Thank you. Great question. So if we're going to reimagine libraries, I think we have to be clear and distinct as to what we're going to utilize those libraries for. And for me, it's so critically important: literacy, literacy, literacy. When you look most recently at some of the diagnostic tests, that particularly in terms of third grade literacy, only 39% of the children in third grade could read at age appropriate levels. That means approximately 61% of the children in third grade cannot read, which is punitive in them in terms of fourth grade because reading is required for reading, for history, for science, etc. So the first thing I'd like to utilize is to have a partnership with Mr. Hill and all of the branches, literacy, literacy, literacy. Atlanta has a tremendous literacy program that's so important, that's done literally. When a mother delivers, she receives books right in the hospital. But libraries drive the literacy program. Oh, you go for 30 seconds. So it's literacy, it's education, it's workforce development, it's Khan Academy. So many times our children don't have access to the internet. They don't have access to, say, for example, something like Khan Academy that provides supplemental education academic programming for them. So what I would see first as a threshold is a partnership for literacy, a partnership for workforce development, and a partnership for education. And I also think there's a capacity for healthcare, particularly in terms of vaccination, COVID, et cetera. Thank you.
So to answer your question, yes. And we should already be doing it. And I think we do some of it. I think on the county level, we do assign social workers from our food stamp program to some of the branches. And we should assign them to all the branches. It's a no-brainer. Health service workers, health services, whether it's vaccinations or whether it's access to other health services, absolutely. Should we have people at the branches during the month of October, which is Medicare, sign up? Absolutely. And we should let seniors know about that. These libraries are community centers. They're not just places to get books and take books out. Should we expand programs for after school? Should every library have the ability to have after school tutoring in it? Absolutely. Can we use not-for-profits that exist in this city? Can we use our school systems, whether they're our public schools, our private schools, or our charter schools, to provide free of charge teachers that are willing to put that extra time in? Absolutely. I think the answer is you don't need to wait. If there are programs you think that we need here now, I think on the county level, we can bring many of them. And I'm sure on the city level, Councilman Solomon and others would be able to also make that happen. There's no need to wait. These are centers of learning, but also centers of services, and anything we can do to bring it and make it easier for people to access the services they need is something we all have to do.
As Commissioner O'Day said, the answer is yes. It's a no-brainer to have city-funded social workers with office hours in our branches. But for people to access those services, they have to be able to afford to stay in Jersey City. So 2 cities have now used libraries and development to create genuinely affordable housing. Both Boston and New York City have recently opened new developments where a new library was placed, and then on top of the library was affordable homes with rents that you can afford, rents at $1,000 and under, rents at $1,500 and under. Now, Jersey City did a version of this, but we missed the key piece. So we used new development to build a new library branch in Lafayette. But on top of that branch was not affordable housing, it was luxury housing. And the developer who built it is a major donor to campaigns. And so the thing I'm most proud of is I'm the only candidate who has pledged not to take donations from developers so that we can get tough. And the next time a developer says, hey, I've got a great idea to build a new library branch, we say, yes, that's amazing. We're going to partner with it. And above that branch, you're going to build affordable housing, not just luxury housing.
I think to directly answer the question, yes. I mean, we should provide social workers, but I think there's so many more innovative opportunities of how we can use libraries as resources. Look, I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have a printer at home and coming to the library literally to print something out. I remember when I didn't have internet at home and coming to the library to have access to the internet. And I know so many new immigrants to this country look to libraries as their places of resources. And so I think not only about social workers, but I also think about new programs that the city's putting in place, right? I mean, think about right to counsel. The city is now funding the ability for people to have attorneys who will protect you from being evicted. Why not have those people at libraries where people can easily access them, right? I also think about having a rotating city hall, right? Why not have city hall in places like libraries where we can provide additional services? In the Journal Square area, there is no real city buildings, but these municipal buildings can also double as a mobile city hall where the mayor and his staff can come and address different things that are happening all across the city. The last thing I want to say about this is I think that it's essential for us to see libraries as a place of gathering. And I think that's something that we're doing today, right? The idea of civic literacy and making sure libraries can help participate in that process. One of the things I'm really proud of is when I was on the school board, I passed a participatory budgeting project where I gave every high school $10,000 and I had students vote on where the money would go. That same way, we can have people in the library get involved in the voting process and understand that the people you elect on the stage don't just represent your values, but they will represent your budget priorities.
My answer to that would be yes. Libraries are safe spaces. They were one of the first community centers that ever pretty much evolved within the city. I believe that resources should be accessible and available to the community, resources that reflect the community needs. Social workers, in addition to maybe some type of training, a skill, a trade, would be a great place to incorporate within the libraries. It's something that I would definitely be for and or incorporating and supporting the community by utilizing the libraries. Thank you.
Now, one of y'all said anything about. Excuse me. As we had asked the audience, please reserve. I am just going to reiterate that we are going to allow the candidates to speak their allotted time, and then afterwards, we're going to request kindly that the audience remain silent and allow us to get through this process. Thank you very much.
Now we are moving on to taxes. So the first person to answer this question is candidate O'Day. Taxes have soared over the last decade. What is your plan to get them under control?
So there's a couple of things. First, you don't attack $100 million problem in 1 year. So we put together a 4-year budget, not a 1-year budget. We put together a budget committee of financial and efficiency experts as well as citizens. And we open up all our books and let them look at everything. Everything is on the table. Secondly, we look at the biggest problem we have with our taxes, which is the school funding formula. Jersey City is getting screwed. Patterson, $583 million a year in state aid. Jersey City, $148 million in state aid. Does that make any sense? Absolutely not. It was done in 2018 for political reasons to hurt Jersey City. We need to get our legislators to change it. We need to get our kids on buses and shut the city of Trenton down if necessary. But our kids are being punished because $250 million a year has been taken away from our school district. So that is a critical component of it. But a budget committee, a 4-year budget, listening and taking the recommendations that are, but doing things the right way. No quick fixes, no bonding our way with operating expenses. Get our bond rating up. In 27 years as a county commissioner, our bond rating has never, ever gone down. It has only gone up. Why? Because we know how to do a budget the right way. We know how to do a budget the right way, and Jersey City needs to get its act together.
So I always remember there's a development downtown in 2014 that received a 20-year tax break. And they sell condos, and they sold their condos for over $1 million. And we get $1 million less dollars each year because of that tax break. And now you say, okay, well, they got a tax break, but what did they give us? Did they give us new affordable housing? You all know what the answer is, right? Did they give us a new school or a new library or a new park? And again, you all know what the answer is. No, but they did make major donations. So first thing is no tax abatements for luxury development. That was a mistaken public policy, and it has helped put us into this mess. Second, go after the big developers and contractors. My office did the job that the mayor and the administration are supposed to do. We audited 200 the contractors cut the signal, guys. So we audited 200 contractors And we found that only 10% were paying the payroll tax that goes to our kids' public schools, my children's public schools. We all sent them letters. We've now had over dozens, up to 100 enroll, and we're going to keep pushing till all 200 are enrolled. Last but not least, I agree with Commissioner O'Day. We need a 4-year budget process because that is the only way you're going to get out of the hole that we're in. Thank you.
To the point that Commissioner O'Day was making, I was elected on the school board when the School Funding Reform Act passed, S2. And I remember suing the state of New Jersey and reaching out to the mayor's office and saying, hey, we were on pace to be cut $300 million over the next 7 years. And instead of standing with the school board, do you know what the mayor did? He wrote a letter and blamed us. And the reality is this: our children suffered because the mayor put his political ambitions over the safety and security of this city. That's the reality. What we should have done is, as people in Jersey City, we should have fought back against Trenton and would have made sure that all of our political power was structured on one item, the School Funding Reform Act. But instead, the mayor sat back because where does this money go for Jersey City public schools? It goes to other schools across the state of New Jersey. And the ramifications of that political decision is what we're seeing today in our city budget. One thing that I want to commit to doing is a single tax strategy between our schools and our city budget. The majority of our budget is made up between our schools and the city, and we don't talk together, right? We don't sit down and say, hey, what is the tax rate happening in the school system? What is the tax rate happening on the municipal side? And if we did, we could actually work together to have a strategy to make sure that over time we can stabilize property taxes and ensure that the city and the schools are sharing services. There's something that the schools are doing that the city can also take over, right? So when we talk about snow plowing, when we have to plow our schools, why can't we have those same contractors also plowing our streets? These are ways that we can share services and make sure that our city is working together.
As mayor, I will prioritize funding for affordable housing, youth engagement, and safety while reducing wasteful and duplicative spending that doesn't directly benefit the residents. Excuse me. I will also be sure to support organizations that provide resources to the community by making sure they have access to available grant funding. And lastly, we must manage our finances responsibly, pay our bills in short term, making sure that the programs that we do decide to spend money on, they benefit the community, and no tax breaks to developers without some type of community benefit.
I think we all share the reality is that the cost of administering Jersey City is approximately $700 million for the city, $1.1 billion for the school district. Literally, the cost of the school district, whether you factor in the capital costs, et cetera, is between $27,000 upwards to $36,000 per pupil. What we need to understand is how we spend that money. And I would respectfully argue we spend too much of that money in terms of administrative overhead, and we're not spending enough money into the classroom. So what's important is not only to exhaustively evaluate the audits that were done on the Jersey City Board of Education, and you should read them. They're horrific, as well as the city. But I think there's also a commonality that we should have a 4-year process. One, we need to return to zero-based budgeting. We can't assume every year that the cost of government is going to continue to increase, because ultimately that is borne by the property taxpayers. So go back to zero-based budgeting. You should budget on a 4-year plan. And thirdly, we need to, as Musab said, work with the school district. You have school districts, you have schools in Jersey City that take an entire block. We could utilize the worth of that land to build new schools, to amortize that cost, to invest in other schools. So we need to understand the importance of the values of what we have, our assets, to make sure that we provide Jersey City the full measure for every tax dollar. Thank you.
This next question, we will begin with candidate Solomon. Municipal taxes are at an all-time high, and affordability is a major issue here in the city. While waste or corruption have been identified as potential areas for reduction in expenses, it is unlikely that a broad new set of policies can be enacted without also cutting programs that exist today. All funding is a set of priorities. Please name 2 programs you would increase funding for and 2 programs you would decrease funding for.
Gotta be specific. I appreciate it. So first thing we would increase funding for is our city's infrastructure department. I do not know a single person in Jersey City who has not had a close call on our streets. When my wife and my child had a close call on 4th and Jersey 2 weeks ago. We need safe streets. Every person in the city must be able to walk a street, bike a street, or drive a street safely. Right now, only 1 of 5 engineering positions are funded in our city budget. That will change. We're going to put money into our infrastructure department. The second division is our planning and affordable housing divisions. We need good city planners to manage the massive amount of development, and we need our affordable housing division to strike the right agreements with those developers and then hold them accountable to the agreements that they sign. So those are the 2 divisions that we are going to start funding. Now, first, we're going to cut our trash contractor. I wake up in the morning and my city streets are dirtier the day after the trash guy comes than the day before. And that is in part because the contractor gets these contracts through the donation process. So we're going to get rid of that. Second, we are going to cut waste in the mechanical division over at DPW. Thank you.
So I don't know how many of you have seen the purple vans that go around, the VIA that the city uses. The cost of the subsidy per VIA ride is $13 per ride. It's basically an Uber system that is inefficient and doesn't work well. The city spends $7.8 million per year on that process. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna reduce the services of VIA, and we're gonna start our own city-run bus system, which would cost about $6.5 million every single year. So that's one thing we're gonna decrease, one thing we're gonna increase. The second part of this is we're gonna reduce the amount of police overtime. Because right now what we're seeing is there's not enough police officers that are on the force, and so they're subsidizing that by paying time and a half or 2 times through police officers. And what we're also gonna do to help increase funding is we're gonna increase the amount of money that we're spending on the traffic enforcement division. And I think this is really important to the point that Councilman Solomon made, right? Right now, we do not have a traffic enforcement division in Jersey City. That's why when you go to Bayonne or you go to Union City, people drive one way. But when they drive here in Jersey City, it's like the Wild West. Because people know they're not gonna get pulled over. People know that they're not gonna get tickets. And so they drive however they want. And so it's important for us that we have a city department that literally will pay for itself. And so I think it's essential for us to make sure that we are enforcing the laws that exist here and being efficient with our time and space, right? Having a bus system as opposed to having an Uber system, fixed route transit will always work better than Uber. And also making sure that instead of just having police overtime, we actually get police officers and some of the police officers that can pull people over and make sure we're actually enforcing the law. Thank you.
It would be public safety. One of the biggest issues that I've heard from the residents here within Jersey City is the response time and the priority in that they have to wait for dispatch to actually dispatch someone. The system is broken, one, because we don't have enough civilians that are working in that department, and quite frankly, they're underpaid. Another issue that we're running into is the shortage of manpower within the police department that's not spoken about. Officers are working overtime because they don't necessarily have enough officers to operate a city of this size and caliber. So I think that that would be priority in terms of allocating funding just to provide a better safety just overall for the whole city. Infrastructure is another thing. There's a lot that's going on out here. There's a lot of congestion. People just driving however they want to drive. I think hiring a team of professionals that can really figure out what's going to work for Jersey City would be best and actually help us to be able to get to where we're going a lot better and safely.
Thank you. I just want to echo those remarks on 911. We have a major challenge. 911 went down for an hour and I think 47 minutes. It's horrific. And basically what happened is calls were then sent to the county. The county then had to call back Jersey City. Jersey City received the call and then had to subsequently dispatch it. This is while someone may have been in an emergency, someone had been suffering a crime. Obviously, 911 has to work. There can be nothing more basic to a city than ensuring that the lives and safety of our residents are preserved. In addition to that, I'd just like to echo what Musab said in terms of traffic safety, which is so critically important, is that we have a traffic safety bureau. We also have a motorcycle bureau, which I think is so critically important for the benefit and the safety and security of our citizens. And also, I think to be mindful of what we could do away with. We could do away with discretionary spending on what I consider to be projects that are vanity, such as, for example, the Pompidou Center. We need to focus on doing the basics well, the basics that impact people's lives every single day, whether it's traffic, whether it's 911, and lastly, I would agree with infrastructure. We have 220 miles of roads and sewers. In certain parts of the city, we've expanded utilization by 40%. We haven't increased capacity by 40%. To repair those sewers, $6.2 billion. Thank you.
And
All right.
just a reminder, 2 that you would increase. and
I know, I'm
2
gonna
that
answer
you
the
would
question,
decrease.
thank you. I want to start by saying I'm gonna answer the question. So the 2 I'm gonna increase is 1, bring back the NIDS. Better enforcement of quality of life, and they generate revenue. And by generating revenue, even though I'm increasing the cost, I'm gonna bring a revenue in to offset that cost. The second area that I desperately think we need to increase is recreation and youth services. They've decimated over the year. Now, some of it we can just reorganize and restructure, because I think there's a lot of waste within there. There's a lot of people in there not doing what they're supposed to do, but I'm willing to increase that. We need free summer camps in Jersey City. When I became a county commissioner, I brought them back to Lincoln Park. This year I had 4 of them: tennis, soccer, basketball, volleyball. Every kid in this city should be able to go to a summer camp, no matter what their income of their family may be. So those are the 2 that I would increase. The ones I would decrease, well, first, I'm decreasing my salary 20% day 1 when I get sworn in office. And I'm gonna ask the city council to reduce their salary too. I give James credit because he didn't take the increase, and I haven't taken an increase in 15 years. But the city council jacked up their salary the same year they jacked up your taxes. So cut their salary, mayor and that, cut some of our staff. They also tripled or quadrupled how much they get to spend on staff for themselves. Cut those. And the second area is, I agree with Councilman Solomon. Trash pickup in this city is horrible. The outside is horrible. Bring it back in. I think we can do it cheaper. Thank you.
For our next question, we're going to start with candidate Ali. The city credit score was recently released and lowered. Jersey City's credit rating directly impacts the library's ability to secure bonds for capital projects to support agencies throughout the city. How will you work to improve the city's credit rating and ensure greater fiscal stability and accountability?
So like I mentioned before, the person that you elect not only represents your values, but also your budget priorities. A project that I want to bring up, I think Governor McGreevy mentioned this. I don't know if people realize this. The Pompidou is actually still supposed to be funded through the operational money from the libraries. Part of their budget, a line item in their budget, is actually revenue from the libraries. And so not only has the city decreased their bonds, but they are reallocating money from projects that are essential here to something that's glitzy and glamorous, but is not necessarily something that the people of Jersey City are clamoring for. So I think it's important when you think about your budget to say, okay, what are the things that we're going to allocate to make sure that they're important? But the second thing that we need to do in terms of improving our bond rating is increasing our revenues. The best way to increase your revenue is to increase the amount of density within the city and to increase the amount of housing, especially affordable housing. We have a very bold plan to upzone the city, to increase the amount of housing, and to make sure that there's more revenue that exists here in Jersey City. I know it's not always popular in every neighborhood, but the reality is if we want to stabilize property taxes and generate more revenue without putting shouldering the burden on the current residents that are here, we need to make sure we can build more housing and make sure that vacant and abandoned properties are being reutilized so that their tax revenue can go towards the bigger pie that can then be redistributed out.
Responsible spending, the city shouldn't be borrowing money that they can't necessarily pay back. The city has been in a deficit for some years now and has been gradually climbing out of that deficit. And it falls onto the taxpayers' lap in terms of, who's gonna pay the bill. In addition to the bond rating, I think that Jersey City needs to just pay their bills and make sure that they have the money to cover whatever projects that they intend to start without taking out more than what we can actually pay out in long run, because on those bonds, there is interest rates that's attached to that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have to do a number of things, and I appreciate your patience. One, as I said earlier, is zero-based budgeting. Second is eliminate the deficits. We had to close the $94 million shortfall. We have to reduce the $219 million in deferred charges. It's also responsible debt management. We have to refinancing existing debt, and we have to cut wasteful projects, whether it's Pompidou, et cetera. And we also have to stop raiding the MUA. Basically, we raid the MUA to rob Peter to pay Paul from the MUA to the budget, and then subsequently increase the allocation of the cost of the MUA. Last, we also have to maximize funding by establishing a grant office. We have to aggressively pursue federal and state funding. We simply can't do this on the backs of property taxpayers or renters in Jersey City. In addition, we have to end overspending, and we have to have on-time budgets. We have to commit to pass an annual budget before the fiscal year begins. And lastly, we have to modernize our systems by adopting integrated financial platforms across the board and enforce monthly bank reconciliations. And lastly, as was said by a number of us, is transparency for taxpayers. We should publish all audits, we should publish all budgets, and we should publish all financial records online so that every citizen can see every single financial document. Thank you.
So the city has put itself in a difficult financial situation. And the only way to get out of it is to start doing things the right way. Credit card mentality doesn't work. You can't bond your tax appeals because you got to pay them the next year. You can't not have enough of reserve for your tax appeals because you got to pay them. So these decisions aren't unique to Jersey City, but Jersey City's got themselves in a tough situation. You know, you mentioned about not being able to bond. Terry, you can bond. Come to the Hudson County Improvement Authority. We got a great bond rating. Jersey City needs to be willing to come to us and take advantage of the bond rating that we have, because we shouldn't be delaying projects because of it. Do we need to abandon the Pompidou? Absolutely. The city can't afford to be putting expenses in when they can't pay their own expenses. But it's very simple. You increase your bond rating by not paying, when you pay your bills on time, you increase your rating. When you delay paying your bills, your rating goes down, whether it's the city, whether it's the state, wherever it is. If you bond for operating expenses, whether it's $100 million or $1.9 billion, that's going to affect your credit rating for years to come. So get away from deferring payments, make tough decisions. Back to what I said, create a 4-year budget and live with the tough decisions. Eliminate waste, we've got to do that. Eliminate wasteful spending, but pay your bills, don't defer your bills, and make tough decisions. We're not making tough decisions in Jersey City. We're putting it off. If you put off paying a bill today, it costs you interest to pay on it tomorrow. And I could show you that in millions and millions of Jersey City's case. Thank you.
My colleagues all mentioned a number of really important things. I want to hit on, I think, 3 points. The first is that personnel is policy. And to fix the city's budget problems and to improve our credit rating, we need a change in our financial leadership. And I know that's maybe not the nicest thing to say, but my job is to put in place the best possible people to help us get through this. So we need new financial leadership at the city. The second thing is we want to make sure that we are looking at all of the abandoned and vacant lots throughout the city because we have a plan to turn those into workforce housing for our public servants. Teachers, firefighters, police officers, we want them to live in the city that they serve. That can help address the rateable base in the city. It's not going to be the end all be all, but that helps address the rateable base. Last, I really want to make the point that this is a wonky topic, but it directly affects you. If you pay property taxes, you are going to pay more when the city's bond rating declines. If you are a renter, that gets passed to you and you pay higher rent. So this is, while wonky, a direct impact on your ability to stay in the city, which is why we need to treat it with the utmost importance. In the very first year I was on the council in 2018, the mayor tried to do what the commissioner just said. He said, we're going to bond to cover not emergency costs, to cover basically the accumulated absences, those are the retirement payments that public servants receive. And we said, you know that cost is coming every year. If you bond for it, you're charging more for it. But the decision was made to kick the can down the road, to be sort of addicted to the credit card and the free money. And every year on the council, I've called that out, and as mayor, we will end those practices.
Thank you. The next question will be answered first by candidate Freeman. In recent years, there's been a delay in passing of the annual municipal budget. This restricts the operating funds for agencies to 80% of the previous year's budget and only passable until the new year. In the case of the library, this will result in a delay that will prevent the institution from being able to cover the cost of inflation on books and ebooks from the beginning of the budget year. What is the specific steps you would take to ensure that the budget is passed in a timely manner?
One, I would make sure that the people that are the directors of that department prepare the needed documents, the annual reports, and have the approval on time so that they can get out in time so that we can be able to fund the library. Transparency, I was thinking of a community board that works alongside government that can kind of help speed the process up so that we can be able to get that information out a lot quicker so that we can cover the bases of our expenses.
Thank you. You know, as I just said, and I pardon if I repeat certain provisions, but obviously we have to end overspending. The audit showed the city exceeded its adopted budget by 73 million from 21 to 23. We need to enforce fiscal discipline. And as I said earlier, we have to have on-time budgets. I am irrevocably committed to passing the annual budget before the fiscal year begins. We have to eliminate delays. But part of that is we also have to modernize our financial systems. The importance of providing for an integrated financial platform and enforcing monthly bank reconciliations. We have to be able to provide this information to all the council persons, to all interested parties, and particularly to our chief financial officer. Part and parcel of delivering the budget in a timely manner is also, as we shared, transparency for taxpayers. That includes publishing all audits, budgets, and financial records. And lastly, we also need stronger oversight. We need stronger oversight and require financial impact statements for all new programs. And we must prohibit spending beyond approved budgets. That happens time and time again in Jersey City. We must prohibit spending beyond approved budgets. And lastly, we should have open government and the ability for individuals, for taxpayers, for residents to access these documents on a public dashboard. Thank you.
So the question is, how are you gonna get a budget adopted sooner in the year? We've done it every year in the county. There's no reason Jersey City can't do it. It's surprising because everybody takes shots at the school board, but they actually have a budget adopted before the year actually begins. So you can do it. You just have to have the commitment to do it. So you introduce it in January. You don't rely on revenues that you don't have yet. Why are you waiting to September? Because if I got $90 million in land sales, I can't adopt a budget until I've closed on those land sales. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. And why has the city lagged on and on? Because the more you rely on that, the more you defer your expenses, those are the things that you can't adopt in a budget with $27 million of a sale of land with the medical center until that sale is completed. DCA is never going to allow you to do that. So get away from that way of thinking. And again, I'm the guy first, 4-year budget. Once you got a 4-year budget in place, the second, third, fourth year should become a hell of a lot easier because you've laid out the groundwork and foundation for what you need to do. So you introduce early, make sure you've got your directors. You know, one thing we have in the county, our books on the county budget is like this. We've got every title, every amount of dollars, every salary. That's transparency. And as mayor, I'll bring that same transparency to you.
The key first step to getting a budget on time, and excuse me for being nerdy, but like I said, this matters to your property taxes and your rent, is the annual financial statement. That is due February 1, March 1, one of those 2 dates, excuse me for not having the exact date in my mind. We will make sure that the annual financial statement is produced on time because that is the basis for then moving forward on your budget. Then we will commit to introducing the budget within a month of the annual financial statement's completion. That has not happened for 8 years in Jersey City. That has to change. And then once the budget is introduced, it is in the hands of the council, which is an independent body, but we will work extraordinarily hard with the council to say, we need you to pass that budget within 6 weeks of it being introduced before your body. So you have your budget hearings. I agree with some of the comments that Commissioner O'Day and others said about transparency. There are budget books that will be posted online that detail every salary, that detail every line item, not just the sort of very, very vague general budget that can be posted and is submitted to DCA, but the very detailed version so that you, the public, can analyze it. You can see where each and every dollar is going, and then we can ensure that there is no waste and fraud in the process. I do, because I have just a tiny bit more time and I'm a politician, so I'm going to take it. I do want to just talk about fighting corruption and waste in the budget process. One of the things my office did is we led an audit process of boat payments. Those are those giant retirement payments that oftentimes politically connected people get. One person in Hudson County received over $1 million in his boat payment.
Thank
and
you
we were
very
going
much
to
for your-
ensure that those don't keep happening.
To the point that Commissioner O'Day made earlier, when I was on the school board for 4 years in a row, we passed our budget on time. I mean, this isn't a difficult process. And I want to talk about transparency. You know, the first municipal body to actually start live streaming their meetings was the Board of Education. So back in 2018, when I got elected, I said, look, why don't we put our meetings on Facebook Live and allow people who are sitting at home to listen into what we're doing. Our budget books might have been even thicker than the county's books. And I remember passing a budget for $814 million. And not only did I pass that budget, I sat with the municipal council that year. Because remember, we had a $75 million budget cut from the governor's office. And I sat down with the mayor and I sat down with the city council. We had a joint meeting and I presented our budget to them. And I said to them, where would you like us to cut in our budget? Demonstrate to me the places where you think that we are wasting money. And they came back with nothing. Because the reality is, at that point in time, at an $814 million budget, there wasn't a single thing that you could point at in our budget and say, hey, this is something that needs to be reduced. But at the same time, you look at the city, and time after time, there are places and red flags and whistleblowers that are coming out and saying, we are wasting money all over the place. I have a commitment to transparency. I have a commitment to making sure the taxpayers know where their money is going. And I have a commitment to make sure that that budget is going to be passed on time. Thank you.
Next, we'll turn to transit, and we will begin with candidate McGreevy. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority is planning to begin highway widening in 2026, which will cost $11 billion. This project includes replacing the Newark Bay Bridge with 2 bridges that will double the number of lanes into Hudson County. The authority has noted this expansion will lead to 38% more truck traffic and air pollution. Instead of building 2 new bridges, the Turnpike Authority could simplify this project and use the extra money to build new light rail routes, improve our bus system, or invest in other public transportation improvements. Jersey City is in the process of suing the New Jersey Turnpike Authority over this project. Will you commit to that lawsuit and do everything in your power to stop the project from happening in its current design?
Yes. You know, I strongly support the idea of retrofitting the bridge, but I'm irrevocably opposed to the expansion of the turnpike. It's not necessary, and I actually think that it will not happen. But I would irrevocably commit to the lawsuit, but I do not believe that. My sense is that the Murphy administration will continue with this project between now and the end of its term. But we have to do more. Today, I had the opportunity to be at the Port Authority board meeting, and we all understand the trauma and the frustration, the reality of path service. We need more path service on weekends. We need more path service in the evenings, and we have to stop the round-the-world path service through Hoboken. That's critically important. In addition to that, we have to rebuild Journal Square. And the only way Journal Square looks abysmal, and we have to work cooperatively with the Port Authority to reinvest, to rebuild Journal Square as a modern bus terminal. In addition to that, we should start looking at connecting light rail to path, and we also have to examine other opportunities such as BRT bus lanes on the boulevard. We've had a working group on transportation for the past year that has delineated a list of recommended changes that are on our website. It's a very serious issue for Jersey
Thank you.
City. Thank you.
So Jim, welcome to the party. Some of us have been vocally against that turnpike extension for 2 years or more, right, Councilman? We've spoken at events over and over again, and we're glad to have you on board. So my answer is simply yes. I'll fight that lawsuit as much as we need to fight it, because it makes no sense. Put those dollars into the light rail. Let's extend the light rail down to Bayfront. We're gonna build 6,000 units of housing. Hopefully 2,000 to 2,500 or more are affordable units. 30 to 40% area median income is what we need, what James spoke about earlier. So you have my support. My support on this issue has been from day one, to oppose that, redirect those dollars into public transportation improvements. And as it relates to path and the Port Authority, I've started discussions with Peter Simon let them to do the first step of good faith. Eliminate the weekend trips to Hoboken and then the 33rd Street. The amount of usage of the PATH train on weekends has increased so much that makes no sense anymore. So I've started those discussions, and I think we'll be successful. And that'll at least be a show of good faith from PATH and the Port Authority that we're willing to work with us on improving the passes.
So I know exactly how long Commissioner O'Day and I have been opposing the Turnpike Authority, because the very first rally, I had my youngest in one of those baby papooses that sometimes Republicans get mad at on the internet. And now she's 3.5. So it's been 3 full years that Bill and I have been at rallies together fighting the Turnpike expansion, because it is a generational mistake for our community. Widening the Turnpike is going to bring pollution. It's going to bring congestion, and all for the low cost of $11 billion. If that sounds dumb, it's because it is dumb. And so you have my commitment. We are going to sue, and we are going to use every tool, whether it's legal or political, to end this mistake. And then we're going to push the state to get this $11 billion into transit, as both the governor and the commissioner said. And the transit is, we need improvements on path, weekend service every 12 minutes. We need improvements on light rail. Similarly, weekend service every 12 minutes. And on buses, when I am canvassing in the morning at bus stops, the #1 complaint is the bus does not show up on time. How can I rely on it to commute to my job? There are basic technology fixes NJ Transit can put in to improve the buses. And so my first step on buses is pushing for more reliable service on the routes that you rely on, whether it's the 80, the 87, the 119, the 10, or the 126. Thank you.
To answer the question directly, I've been opposed from the Turnpike expansion from the day one. I mean, Katie Brennan, who ran for assembly, talks about it as if, you're putting more lanes and trying to shove more things to a straw, right? Like the straw is going to stay the same size and you're just adding more lanes trying to shove it through. It's not going to work. I mean, it's common sense here. But I think the second part about this, look, I agree on the stuff on the PATH train. I agree on the stuff about NJ Transit. We need to invest in public transportation. But none of us on their stage are running for governor. None of us are running to be on the Port Authority board. We are the only campaign that is talking about a real promise that the mayor of Jersey City can deliver, and that is a fast and free city-run bus system. Again, this is a promise where the city can actually allocate dollars to have a municipally run system that can take transit deserts and connect this entire city. And for those people that are wondering where this model exists, it exists just next door. If you go to Hoboken, you can get on the hop. It's a free bus system that connects the entire city. Jersey City is large enough, it's dense enough, that we should be able to do the same exact thing here. And the reason that this would be a fast system is because 80% of the signals in Jersey City are actually city run. So now you can put a transponder inside the bus so that every time it goes to a light, it gets a green light. So now the fastest way to get around town is also going to be free, and it's going to get you zipping around town in a way that's more efficient, that takes cars off the road and reduces pollution. Thank you.
Yes, I commit to the lawsuit, and I do not support the expansion of the turnpike. Expanding the turnpike means that pollution will increase in the already red zones here in Jersey City, which is predominantly in the Greenville section. So I'm definitely opposed to that. One of the ways that I believe that we can combat that is by providing accessible transit and reliable transit here in Jersey City. Like Ali had stated about a bus line, I too agree that a bus line, a city-owned bus line would work here. However, I'm more in the mindset of a green bus line, more like an electric bus line, just because I believe as the city, we can receive more funding for that type of thing. In addition to creating city jobs. Reliable transit means less reliability on vehicles. People will be less likely to own vehicles if they had reliable transit to get throughout the city. In addition to that, with the vehicles that do travel to Jersey City, a toll system, we can recoup some of that money and use that money to fund other projects here in the city. Thank you.
As the second largest city in New Jersey, Jersey City faces serious challenges with traffic. But most major transit investments in Jersey City benefit the waterfront and downtown. What is your plan to improve fast, reliable connections for residents in Greenville, West Side, and other neighborhoods that don't have path access? And we will start with Commissioner O'Day.
So first, I'll tell you what I've done over the last couple of years. When they were gonna get rid of the 440 shopper, I worked with the community. We put together a petition drive. We pressured New Jersey Transit, and that line still exists. When they were gonna get rid of the 80 line, again, worked with the community, came together, pressured New Jersey Transit, saved that line too. So we've saved existing lines, and now we need to find the areas that aren't properly served on the west side and the south side of Jersey City, and make sure we create areas with new lines where necessary, but also make sure the existing lines, whether it's Bergen Avenue, whether it's JFK Boulevard, or parts even down off of Baldwin Avenue that no longer have the service they should, that we just create the lines there. We have to invest in them, we have to subsidize them, and transit has to subsidize them to the degree that's necessary to do it. I've lived on the south side of Jersey City for the last 53 years of my life, so I know exactly how it's not served. And then linking them to the light rail stops is a no-brainer. So link them to light rail gets you to New York, also get you linkages to General Square. So I'm not sure we can afford a full free bus service, but we need to have bus access in all parts of the city because people in my side of the city tend to not have the same high incomes as other parts of the city to be able to afford some of the other modes of transportation.
Yeah, a couple of core things to do. First, a couple of big infrastructure investments. First is extending the light rail over to the Bayfront project. Bayfront project is supposed to have 8,000 units, including 35% affordable. It is a project I do give the mayor a ton of credit for, and it's one that I'm proud to have passed the deciding vote to move forward in 2018. It is going to create genuinely affordable homes, but the people in those homes, as well as in that next door Society Hill, need access to transit so that they can then commute into their jobs. So second thing, we need it to be safe to walk and bike in the city. So I am committed to ensuring that every neighborhood gets equal infrastructure investments. I do not know a single person in the city who wants more dangerous streets, who does not want their children to be safe when they're walking or biking. So we're going to make sure that the infrastructure investments in Jersey City are equitable across all the wards. And then I mentioned it briefly, but just to expand, the existing transit systems must deliver better service outside of the core of downtown. So we have the light rail and we have our bus system. Light rail on weekends is a disaster. I was canvassing in front of the West Side Light Rail, and this was not even on the weekends, it was just a normal morning commute, and the folks are saying for 3 weeks, the 808 train has just not shown up. Just for 3 weeks. That is an unacceptable level of service. Similarly, when I'm in the Heights and you're talking to folks waiting for the 119, you get 3 buses that all come within 2 minutes, and then you have a 20-minute gap before the next bus. Again, there is basic technology that can be used to space the buses out properly. And my number one thing is to force the future governor to make investments in our transit system.
I almost wish I got this question last time. Again, the answer is a fast and free city-run bus system. And if you look at our plan, it literally talks about the west side of the city. It talks about Greenville and connecting those areas, right? Greenville straight to downtown, from the west side to Journal Square to downtown, from the Heights to downtown, right? We can have this promise, right? And again, in terms of affording it, the city spends $7.8 million per year on VIA. 7.8 million. Per ride, it is subsidized, $13 per ride. Users pay $2, and they think, wow, I pay $2, that's what it costs to ride a VIA. That's not what it costs. It costs $15 per rider. But we don't see that cost because the city's subsidizing it. On top of that, VIA is a private company. So guess what? They have to return money to their shareholders. And guess who's picking up that tab? The taxpayers of Jersey City. We all know public transportation is subsidized. So why don't we subsidize it in-house and make sure we have a great system that the city's accountable for? If the bus system sucks, we don't have to go blame the governor for NJ Transit. We don't have to go blame them for the light rail. You can just blame me, right? That's a great idea. I think you can just hold me accountable for it. The last thing I want to say about this, because again, I'm sounding a little repetitive. To the point that Councilman Solomon made, this is a very important point. Even if you're not voting for me, please go out and vote. The only way that we are going to mass power as a city and make sure that the governor is listening to our voice is to make sure that everyone in this room is voting and you are getting your friends to vote. Because we have one of the lowest voter participation rates in the entire state of New Jersey. And because of that, they don't pay attention to you. And it's important that you come. Thank you.
And just to add to that, early voting has started, okay? You can vote. Early voting has started. Just to get back on the topic about the transit and just the accessibility of it, we gotta start holding them accountable. You know, if they're gonna do business with Jersey City, they need to make sure that they're on time. They need to make sure that they're moving people throughout the city. And in the desert areas, like Ali has stated, a bus system, but for me, it's more of an electric bus system. One, it helps to save our planet. You know, we want to do better with the air quality and emissions, and we have control over it. We can determine how late it runs, how often it runs, in addition to, hey, we have a free bus day, you know, get on the bus for free and travel throughout the city. I think that Jersey City would benefit from that most. In addition to just being able to navigate the city in a green way, but also to create jobs, city jobs for people. I think that, you know, that would benefit both the city and the residents here in Jersey City. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, for me, it starts and begins with Journal Square. The importance of Journal Square becoming the premier transit hub in Hudson County. With a new transit center, stronger path, light rail connections, and bus links. And as Commissioner O'Day said, I wholeheartedly agree with the bus links. And as Councilman Solomon said, in terms of the extension of the light rail. But it requires us to rebuild Journal Square as a transit hub with modern technology that's going to measure compliance of attendance, timeliness, and performance on buses. The reality is, it's been suggested that the bus terminal Journal Square is among the 4th busiest bus terminals in the nation. We need to upgrade that to serve as a center for data and compliance to ensure that Jersey City has access not only to the technology, but to performance. And lastly, I think we should seriously examine bus rapid transit on the boulevard. It's been done in other cities, and what it provides is quick, able access across the entirety of the city, which would enable people to access the transit hub faster and more efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next question, we will begin with candidate Solomon. One of the criticisms of the current administration regarding LGBTQ plus representation is performative allyship. For example, the mayor's LGBTQ task force has never had a clarified purpose, and the selection for membership has never been open or shared with the public. How would your administration authentically engage with LGBTQ plus issues?
I think you start by listening to the community. And if you don't start with authentic listening and hearing, then you're not going to be able to actually deliver concrete changes to make people's lives better. And I think one of the things I'm deeply proud of in this race is to have been endorsed by a number of the leaders in Jersey City's LGBTQ community, including the founders of Jersey City Pride, because for 8 years, I have done that. I have been sitting and I've been listening and I've been saying, where can we make things better? Back in 2021, we talked about, hey, we need to make sure that trans folks feel safe. And one way we can do it, it's not going to solve every problem, but one way we can do it is passing a single-use gender-neutral bathroom bill. And so we worked on it and we passed it. Now that was listening, that was letting folks in the community tell us what was important and then taking action. Now, particularly on the mayor's LGBTQ task force, we need real change. That task force needs to not be part of a political administration. It needs to have statutory independence. The selection of the members has to be not simply controlled by the administration and the council, but by members of the community. And it has to be, if you do all of those things, it will then challenge those in power to do better, not defend those in power. And that, I think, is a crucial distinction. Advisory boards can't just be political functions. They have to be genuine organizations that are pushing and challenging those that have power to do better.
I'm going to start here with a quick story. I remember when the governor passed the LGBTQ plus curriculum, and there were people that came to my school board meeting and spoke out against it, right? This was a curriculum that honored the sort of legacy of people like Alan Turing, right? The legacy of people from the LGBTQ community who had done so much for American society. And I want to share some of the words I shared then when I was a 23-year-old. And I said to the members of the public, I said, listen, I'm someone who comes from a discriminated background and a discriminated group. I know what it's like when someone side-eyes you or looks at you with hate. In fact, some of you have seen my social media. There are people who are asking for me to be deported from this country. But the reality is we should not be approaching these issues with the lens of hate and division. We should be approaching them with a lens of love and inclusion. And to me, that is what this administration will stand for. It's an administration that will fight to maintain the 100% rating that we've gotten from the Human Rights Index, right? And I want to make sure that the members of our coalition reflect that. But it also means that this is going to be a city that will be targeted by Trump, especially those members from our most vulnerable communities. And I want you to know that the person who's going to stand up the most for every single resident in this town, no matter where you're from, who you are, what God you pray to, or who you love, is going to be our administration. Thank you.
I am committed to building real relationships with the 2S LGBTQ IA plus community here. I don't intend to just show up for the month of June and for photo ops. I believe that ensuring representation on an advisory board is pretty much a start. And also making sure that the community is a part of the decision-making and process and policies here in Jersey City. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to echo what James said. Boards have to be meaningful. And so no matter what the board is focused on, whether it's focused on infrastructure, whether it's focused on education, a board has to be meaningful. And a board should not exist simply to have a collection of names against which they have an ostensible purpose. So I believe that this board, particularly the LGBTQ board, should be meaningful, should be set aside with a clear agenda. I've been blessed to be endorsed by the Victory Fund, and obviously for me personally, this issue is critically important because for men of my generation, or for me to keep it in the eye, I thought that the best course of action was to maintain the veneer of my heterosexuality. Clearly, that was not right. And so for me, in terms of the community, I think this is critically important. And what I do every day with my day job, I work with people coming out of prison, people coming out of jail, veterans, and there's no group that's more victimized, more violenced than those members of our community in state prison, both in terms of sexual assault, physical violence. So I understand the importance, and I fully commit to have a separate independent counsel that does good work, as God willing I do for every council across the board. Thank you.
So you have to give the advisory board real power. It should be more than an advisory board. And you have to let those organizations in our community, some who get funded and some who may not get funded, but that are established community organizations, have the ability to name their members. Not the government, not the mayor, not the city council. You name each and every organization that is currently part of the LGBTQ community, whether they're social service providers, whether they're health providers, and they get to name who they want. They put the names on it. You give them the power to oversee what you do. You don't just let them be an advisory board. Look, Jersey City's done a lot of good things in this area. We tend to just look at all the negative. But Jersey City, under Mayor Fulop, has done a lot of good things. We shouldn't be afraid or ashamed to let people look at what we've done, make what we've done better, correct the mistakes that we've made. Give that board real power and let the leadership within those community groups name their members, not 7 members that I name or 7 members that the council name who becomes friends and people who won't criticize you when you're wrong, but are particular groups and organizations. You give me the name and that's the name that serves on that committee.
Thank you. All right, our next question, the first response will be from candidate Ali. What plans do you have to create safe, supportive, and innovative spaces for young people outside of school, whether through the library, recreation centers, or new partnerships?
Thank you for this question. Like I mentioned, I was elected to office when I was 20 years old. And the first thing I did when I got in office is I started a nonprofit with my sister to train the next generation of activists, organizers, and grassroots leaders. I've been running that organization for the last 8 years. I got to give a big shout out to Commissioner O'Day, who comes and gives our toast every single year. It's an organization that is dedicated towards the advancement of our young people and involving them in the civic process. Because so often I feel like young people feel left out of these rooms. They don't feel like their voice matters. And I think what we have done as a society is we have debilitated their understanding of what it means to be part of government. And I think that's a big problem that we've had ever since 2016. Once Trump got in office, I think there's so many young people who look at our politics and see it as something that is fundamentally broken. And the only way that we can restore their trust is to restore it at a local level. And let me tell you some of the incredible projects that these young people have done. We have one group that has gone to local state prisons with the help of Commissioner O'Day and worked to teach prisoners how to read. to make sure that they don't go back into jail. We have another group that is partnered with our local public schools to teach other children how to grow their own food here in the urban environment so that they are never hungry. We have another group that is working on engaging young people and making sure on their 18th birthday, they give them a gift that also registers them to vote, right? I mean, this is the way that you engage your young people. And it's not just something that I think about in theory. It's something I've been putting into practice for 8 years. It's become a statewide model and is now expanding throughout the country. Thank you.
Authentic interactions with the youth, that's what I would have to say. I think back to my younger years and being a part of organizations growing up. I grew up in church, and that was a persuading factor in a lot of the adventures that I went into in life. In addition to the PAL program, as far as the youth here in Jersey City, I'm for creating or supporting safe spaces because we have safe spaces that are here for the youth to be in and within. They just don't feel welcome there. So I would make sure that I support those organizations that are already doing the work. Over the weekend, I had the privilege of going out with one of the groups here in Jersey City that did a city cleanup, not a city cleanup, excuse me, a cleanup on Summit Avenue. And I thought it was wonderful to just be invited out into their space and just to be able to collaborate with them, for them to understand that I am them, creating spaces where they feel accepted, spaces where they can be their authentic self, and also just supporting some of the initiatives that they take up on their own. Thank you.
Yeah. This morning at the Reentry Center in Kearney, right across from the Hudson County Jail, we graduated 400 young men and women who received industry-recognized credentials. And these are all young persons, 400 of them from Jersey City, from Newark, from Patterson, from Elizabeth, down to Middlesex. But what's most importantly, we gave them credentials. We gave them industry-recognized credentials that they compete with, whether it's a forklift operator, whether it's a phlebotomist, whether it's HVAC, whether it's a welder. So what's critically important is that we impart workforce development skills so that people can compete in the workforce. That's so critically important for me, and I think for our future. Second, I think we need to understand that when my father grew up in Jersey City, there was, police athletic league, there was boxing, there were multiple places in which to recreate. Today, as Bill said, very few of them exist. What I want to build is recreation centers. And I built a great recreation center in Woodbridge, New Jersey, where I formerly served as mayor, that has hockey, that has racquetball, that has computers, etc. But a recreation center, I want to do a recreation center in each of the 4 corners of Jersey City to have the ability for our seniors, for young people to intermix, for ability for young people to learn and to have a safe place. I know so many young people, wherever they are in the city, don't have a place to congregate, don't have a place to safely learn and engage. A community recreation center is a beginning and a commitment to workforce development. Thank you.
So before there was reentry, there was Project Impact. And we've gotten over 300 women and minorities into construction trade unions. And we started with almost no money. So expanding programs like that for our young men and women is one critical thing. From the first day I announced I was running for mayor, I said a minimum of 6 youth development centers in Jersey City. As a kid, I went to the youth center on Baldwin and North Avenue. It was a small little building, but it had a deep impact on me. Those centers should provide after-school programs, tutoring, recreation, and other programs, acting, performing arts, etc. Additionally, let's reopen more of our schools. A real partnership that I want with the Board of Education is going to reopen schools. When I was young, more schools were open, whether it's to play basketball, whether it's to learn how to sing or dance. Opening those facilities up is important. As a county commissioner, I open up the Hank Gallo Center on weekends for karate and martial arts classes. Those are for youth, but also we have other programs like yoga for other people. Open up all our buildings and then fix up what we have. The rink in Pershing Field, it's a disaster. It needs to be fixed up. It could be a community. It could be one of those 6 centers that we need. But centers for kids, Obviously, workforce development, our young people need alternatives to the street. The more alternatives we give them, the less likely they are to wind up someday in a program like the program that Governor McGreevy operates.
Agreed with both the governor and the commissioner. We need a rec center in Jersey City. It is a non-negotiable. It must be built in the first 4 years, regardless of who wins. But you have my commitment that if I am mayor, I will get a rec center open. The second thing you need to do is ensure that our young people are given these spaces in all of the employment spaces of this city. So we have a plan for 1,000 summer jobs in Jersey City. Summer jobs, yes, with the city, but also with the major corporations and businesses. And we are going to demand that those major corporations and businesses open their doors to the youth of Jersey City, because the people here are more talented than those that they're bringing in right now. And then we need significantly more athletic and artistic spaces. Something that was just so shocking and angering to me is I was at a meeting about 3 months ago, and a high-level state official pulled me aside and he said, James, we have a fund in the state with tens of millions of dollars to purchase new open space and recreation fields in urban areas. And we've been trying to get in touch with someone at the city for over a year and no one is getting back to us. Literally free money for recreation spaces in our city. And the moment he said this to me, I said, please tell me. Within a week, we were meeting with his team. Within 2 weeks, we had sent him a list of 10 sites for him to try to purchase. We need to create those spaces, and we need a well-run government to do it.
Next, we move to public safety, and the candidate Freeman will be the first person to answer this question. In 2018, Jersey City stopped sharing its crime statistics with CompStat and also stopped posting that information on the city's website. This includes information about the number of rapes, homicides, and robberies, and in which areas those crimes happened. As mayor, do you pledge that you will reverse this decision and start sharing this information with the people of Jersey City, both via reporting to CompStat as well as on the city's website?
Yes, I commit to that. I think it's deceptive that it was stopped in the first place. In order for us to be able to fix a problem, we have to know what the trueness of those problems are so that we can allocate the resources to them. If we have high crime areas, we have to figure out ways to disrupt those issues. Some of the things that I intend to implement for the high crime and violence areas is supportive services such as social workers, rehabilitation centers, in addition to just violence interrupters. One thing that I've seen, especially like in the areas of Greenville, there are some organizations that go out and interrupt some of the crime or the violence rather, to build that communication bridge to kind of resolve it before it gets to a point of actual crime. More of that, and just being transparent in what's going on in the city, because how do we fix it if we don't truly know what's going on?
Thank you. Transparency is key. We have to modernize reporting, transform the Jersey City Police Department website into an interactive platform so that real neighborhood statistics, online access to policing policies. Second, data accuracy. We have to require regular UCR updates with the New Jersey State Police and ensure that all categories of crime are reported. Correcting failures, such as in recent years, where certain crimes were omitted. Public accountability. We have to cite reliable data, including Oprah findings, to reveal crime increases. Burglary up 65%, robbery up 32%, and call out failures such as the failure to post CompStat data. Traffic safety transparency. We have to create a public access dashboard for traffic reports, as well as hold monthly meetings with police, planners, and residents to review enforcement and infrastructure safety. And then we have to have command and integrity. a chain of command that's simple and that's clear so that residents know who is responsible for results in their respective neighborhood. Also, community policing. We have to go back to community policing, mobile police stations for direct resident access, professional standards for 911, and we have to have a nationally certified police department. I did that in Woodbridge. It resulted in profound changes and accountability. Thank you.
So making the CompStat available to everyone, absolutely. Should be simple for everyone to get it. Government shouldn't be ashamed to reveal their statistics. Those statistics are helpful. Those statistics actually let you realize where we need to redeploy staff and redeploy our officers. So yes, we'll do that. My entire career has been about transparency. When they try to cut how many minutes people can speak, I vote against it. When they try to change the times, I vote against it. So transparency is clear. As it relates to the police department, there are things we need to do. Yes, we all want community policing. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of those cars that sit parked on a corner for 8 hours a day. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've observed offenses halfway down a block, and I went back to an officer. They say, let me call it in. I said, call it in. Why don't you go down the block? I'm not allowed to go down the block. I have to stay here. Makes absolutely no sense. Create smaller area for them to patrol. We've talked earlier about 911. We have to change the 911 system. We can't let the public safety director hold it hostage. He's held it hostage. He refuses to hire and continue to train the people there because he wants to privatize it. Hell with that. We should get rid of him. Don't wait till one of us takes over office in January 1. He should be gotten rid of now. It was one thing to just pass a resolution about him, lower his salary by $150,000. If we did that 2 years ago, we might have got rid of him already.
Yeah, echoing my colleagues, and I think Officer Freeman said it the best, is you can hide the stats, but you can't hide the reality. So you're not making people's lives better if you're trying to juke the stats and hide the numbers. So there is a full commitment for me to release the CompStat data, but the transparency agenda is much bigger than just the CompStat data. So we're going to have a city stat system with clear metrics to evaluate every part of city government. It is a system that has worked in other cities, including Baltimore, in the past. All of those statistics are going to be accessible on a dashboard, which other cities around the country are doing now. So you're going to see how frequently does the trash get picked up on time and effectively? How quickly are potholes filled? Did your request for park maintenance get repaired in 72 hours? All of that is going to be public to each and every citizen. But you got to go further than that. The political bosses of this state are trying to hide information. They gutted what's called Oprah. Oprah is the bill that had protected public records. I took a stand against it. I fought against it. I knew it was going to piss the bosses off. I knew it meant they weren't going to support this campaign for mayor, but it was the right thing to do. Now, we have publicly stated we are going to have the most liberal interpretation of Oprah statutes possible and release much more information than is legally required. And we're going to do it on a quick time basis. Right now, your Oprah requests get lost for months and months and months. And beyond that, we are going to then fund local media.
To answer the question directly, the answer is yes. We're going to release the CompStat data. But let me give you some statistics we do have. And these are coming from the Police Accountability Scorecard, which, by the way, Jersey City ranks dead last in the state of New Jersey on this scorecard. If you're a Black person in Jersey City, you are 14.4 times more likely to be arrested. And if you're a Hispanic person in Jersey City, you are 2.9 times more likely to be arrested for nonviolent crime. That's the stats right here in Jersey City, the most diverse city in America. Okay. I think it's important when we talk about accountability, we talk about trust, right? People need to trust the public safety department. The reality is, for me, when I see a cop car behind me, I don't feel safe. I feel fear, right? And I think that's the same feeling for a lot of people of color. And so I think what we need to do is we need to have real community policing. To the point that Commissioner O'Day was making. Yesterday, I was literally walking on MLK Drive, and so many people who were there were saying to me, "You're running for mayor. What are you doing here in this neighborhood?" And that's a reflection of the fact that they feel that the current mayor has left those neighborhoods behind. They don't see him walking around there. And so if we want our police officers to be walking around on MLK and Ocean, we need to be setting an example ourselves. We need to do the same exact thing. So you have my commitment to do that. On top of that, in terms of mental health responders, we should not be asking police officers to be doing the job of mental health responders. We need to hire 24/7 mental health responders who are there to evaluate crimes, to make sure something like happened to Andrew Washington never happens again. Justice for Drew.
Thank you. All right, perfect segue into a public safety question. In March of this year, the city council passed a vote of no confidence in Public Safety Director James Shea. They cited a lack of responsiveness to council requests for transparency and lax enforcement as a chief amongst the reasons for the vote. How would you ensure accountability within the Jersey City Police Department, particularly around traffic enforcement and public safety? This question will be posed first to Governor LaGreedy.
Thanks. It's a great question. I think there's probably unanimity here in terms of support. Three things. One, the present design where you have one person in public safety overseeing the fire department and police department has to change. Each, whether it's the fire department or the police department, they each deserve a separate and distinct function. Second, that you have to have CompStat figures reported accurately and quickly and up to date. And I think that's so critically important. Third, from my sense is in terms of the department, we need a department that is professionally accredited and trained so that you have protocols for everything that happens in the police department, so that you have protocols against which to measure someone's success or failures. And also, we need to vigorously embrace the Attorney General's model of arrive together. Understanding the importance, we just talked, and Musab talked about justice for Drew. It's not only justice at the time of his crisis, but it's also providing an ongoing basis, pharmacological support, mental health support for an increasing percentage of our population that intersects with the police department. So what do I see? I see a police department that's focused clearly on the mission. I see a police department that's nationally accredited. I see a police department that has national standards against which people can measure their success or failure. But I also see a police department that works cooperatively with mental health units to make sure that we provide the full measure of opportunity for our community.
Time's up.
So again, Jim, welcome to the party. When I announced I was running for mayor, I said day one, police department, fire department, whoever runs a public safety department, that other department suffers. And we've seen that suffering occur in the city for the last 12 years. So that's a no-brainer. As it relates to traffic, we have motorcycles. They're down in Marion Gardens. Bring back the motorcycle squad. They're so much better equipped to deal with traffic issues and enforce the traffic issues that we have. 24/7 arrive together, 100%. Dealing with mental health is critical. One thing I'm working on, I don't need to be the mayor, is creating a de-escalation center. Run through the Anti-Violence Coalition along with a qualified federal health center. So individuals that are part of the Arrive Together program don't have to be brought to the county correctional facility. The worst thing you do is you bring someone to a county correctional facility when they have a mental health issue. But lastly, and importantly, today, we are not starting today, but we allocated the funds for a mental health court in Hudson County. Again, individuals will now be able to go into healthcare facilities, not correctional facilities. But when it comes to the police department, accountability is day one. And what's important is that each and every day as the mayor, you sit down with your director, with your chiefs, and you go over what's going wrong and you make sure that it gets corrected.
Thank you.
There needs to be new leadership. We start there. There will be a new public safety director on January 1st, 2026. We fought the current public safety director to bring the Arrive program here that the governor mentioned, the commissioner and Musab. The Arrive program has been proven to work across the state, and he was adamantly opposed. And we fought and we fought and we got it, but it's not enough. It is not here nearly long enough. So we have to expand it to 7 days a week, 24 hours, and you have my commitment to do that. I agree completely with the commissioner that we've got to get rid of the just the stupid posts. Everything the commissioner said was right on that front. The posts create the feeling of a police state without making it safer in our community. We're going to get the officers on the beat, interacting with the community and solving crimes. But you've got to do more. You have to have a full, comprehensive investment in the community to build trust. I was proud to get the first ever municipal investment in violence interrupters. Those are the trusted community partners that are proven to reduce violence. We are going to get teams of mental health professionals and EMTs responding to low-level crimes so that our officers can focus on those more serious, violent crimes and put more efforts into investigation and more efforts into proactive policing instead of reactive policing. And then we're going to invest in opportunities for our young people. We've talked about it a little bit, but I just want to emphasize again, right now there are fewer opportunities for youth in Jersey City than there were 30 years ago. That is unacceptable.
So one point of agreement here is I think none of us are happy with the current public safety director and he'd be terminated. I've actually said very publicly that I think that he should resign at this point because nobody is happy, not the people who are working, the morale is really bad in the police force, it's bad in the fire department. I want to talk about a little bit of a different program here, which is if anyone has followed what's happened in Baltimore, it has been extremely successful. Baltimore has reduced violent crime and homicide to the lowest in a generation. And what did they do? The mayor of Baltimore sent a letter to the 300 to 400 people within the city that commit almost all the crimes. Almost every single city, you know the people who are committing the crimes. It's not everyday people, you know the people who are committing the crimes. They sent them a letter and they said, listen, we believe in second chances, right? We're going to give you an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to get a job. Here's an opportunity to get better housing. Now you have a choice. You can take this opportunity to get yourself off the street and to do something productive with your life, or within a year, you will probably be incarcerated. And that program has worked. The reality is across the board in every single community, people want to feel safe. And so our commitment is to make sure we go after the people who are committing the majority of the violent crimes and let them know, listen, we are not going to have an approach that sends you straight to jail, but we're going to offer you opportunity. Do you want to improve your lives? Do you want to dream bigger for yourself? If yes, we're going to help you. But if not, you should not belong here in the city and make our streets unsafe.
I think my running mates has said it for me. I'm not trying to go to midnights. But good leadership starts from the top. We have a lot of good police officers within the department that are doing the work. However, they get overshadowed by the ones that don't do such a great job. I don't think that police should be going to mental crises call. Just transparency. I have a sibling that suffers from schizophrenia, and I am very concerned about his well-being when interacting with certain police officers. And I shouldn't feel like that, and I'm a police officer here. And I'm not saying that they don't do good with what they have, it's just that they shouldn't have to do it to begin with. Community policing, having police officers within every aspect of the community, not just community resource officers or school resource officers. All the officers within the city should be engaged in the community in some way and also incentivize them for doing it within the community. I'm sorry. Traffic division. I think that Jersey City would benefit from a traffic division as well. We don't have one currently, and I think it's much needed in the time of congestion here. Thank you.
Our final question before we move to closing statements is about education. Several of you point to standardized test scores of students in the Jersey City public schools as an indicator that our schools are failing children. But study after study shows that poverty is one of the biggest factors in academic metrics. Since the mayor doesn't control the schools, but does set city policy and the priorities in the municipal budget, What is your plan to end childhood poverty in Jersey City? And we will begin with candidate O'Day.
So first and foremost, and I talked about it earlier, is creating programs and alternates for our young people, especially our young people in those parts of the city that aren't affluent, whether they're free summer camps, whether they're youth development centers, whether they're after-school programs, opening up schools. How do you end poverty? You provide opportunity to young people that they wouldn't be able to have if government didn't provide it to them. And my entire career, I've been committed to that. Like I said, there were no free summer camps in Lincoln Park when I became a commissioner. There's now 4. And the working relationship that I've had with the PAL to help their building get fixed, with Blesk to now get their own building constructed with 18 units of affordable housing above it, creating those opportunities, supporting those nonprofits within our community, providing them more resources, helping them being able to provide more, apply for more grant dollars is day one. Office of Not-for-Profit and Faith-Based Empowerment. That's one of the things that I'll do because we need to do that. Secondly is food security. No young person should have to worry about whether it's a free lunch in school or a free lunch and dinner during the week on a weekend. We have to make sure that we put all the dollars necessary into food security. And South Hudson Civic Association, we've been doing it for 2,300 individual families for the last 5 years since COVID started. Recreation, food security, making sure no child, irregardless of their economic situation, is deprived of the opportunity of any other child in the city.
We're going to focus on 2 things. The first, directly in the mayor's control, is affordability. If somebody in a family is in an apartment that they can afford, we as the city have to fight like hell to keep them there. It's one of the reasons we work very hard to pass a right to counsel, a bill that will provide tenants with attorneys if they're facing eviction. It has been proven to reduce eviction rates by 40%, but it's also been proven to improve children's outcomes in education and in health because you're keeping them in stable housing. And if a landlord is trying to push a family out, the city must stand on the side of the tenant and use every tool in their toolbox to keep them in their home. We have to provide people with good wages so they can afford the rising cost of living in Jersey City. But I also want to talk about the importance of mayors and mayor's role to fight on the national front. Because child poverty is going to increase, not through anything that any of us are doing, but because Donald Trump passed the most disastrous bill, the transfer of wealth from the poorest and the working in our country to the wealthiest. And I have always been proud to use my political power to fight against the Trump movement. I was proud in 2016 to fight against them. In 2024, I was the only candidate that went to Pennsylvania and knocked on doors to try to prevent this from happening. And as mayor, I will use all of my political power to get a new Congress in 2026 and then to get that man out of the White House in 2028. You think that?
So let's start with some statistics to level set us here on childhood poverty. The childhood poverty rate in Jersey City is 26%. When I was on the school board, I remember a statistic that 1 in 10 children in Jersey City were homeless. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's why it frustrates me even more, the fact that our current mayor was not fighting against the governor for our school funding. But I want to talk about what we can actually do about this, right? I mean, look, if people can't see the board, they can't pay attention in class. One of the things I was really proud to spearhead when I was on the school board was I passed a vision program that gave kids free glasses and free eye exams. They could actually see the chalkboard when they were learning in math class or when they were learning to read. The other thing that I think is really important is looking at models across the country. There's a program called the Oakland Promise Program, started by the mayor's office out in Oakland, which promised baby bonds to the children in Oakland who were experiencing childhood poverty. There's a program called the Stockton Scholars Program, started by Michael Tubbs, who was mayor of Stockton, California, when he was just 26 years old. And it promised every single child who graduated from Stockton Public Schools a full scholarship to community college or to a 4-year public college. These are things that are possible for our children. We just need to dream big enough to make them happen. What we're going to do is create a Department of Philanthropy that is going to encourage people across the city to invest in different neighborhoods. There are certain neighborhoods in Jersey City where the average median income in a household is $210,000. And there are some households where the median income is less than $40,000. We need to make sure that we are one united city, and we're the administration to make that happen.
Thank you. Poverty is a government issue that can be addressed. No kid should go hungry. No person should be homeless on the street because they can't, or they missed the bill because they bought groceries. As mayor, I do intend to support families who are in states of poverty by providing resources with organizations such as like churches to open their doors to provide breakfasts and incentivize those churches for feeding the community, in addition to utilizing organizations that have after-school programs to make sure that these children are eating after school. Kids can't learn if they're hungry, and under my administration, no child will be hungry here in Jersey City.
Thanks. One, I just wanted to go back to something Musab said, which is so poignant. What we do in New Jersey reentry, we have 27,000 clients enrolled, veterans, people coming home from prison and county jail and addiction treatment, and obviously referring people who come home or people that are on probation and parole with services is critically important. For children, there are two things that are essential. One is familial stability, and second is access to services. So for me, one of the most critical things to do is to make sure that a child not only has a birth certificate, a child has the ability to access whether it's general assistance. I see the great Bob Knapp here, who's Bill's friend, is in terms of general assistance, in terms of SNAP, food stamps, and if necessary, temporary rental assistance. Once you provide that child with the basics of what the county or state provides, then you need to also look at healthcare. And say, for example, New Jersey has a very ambitious program in terms of family health services through Medicaid, the CHIPS program, so that that child has a full array of healthcare benefits, accessing whether it's auditory, whether it's eyeglasses, or most importantly, medical examinations. So first thing for children is I want to make sure that every child has the full array of state, federal, health, and local benefits to make sure they have access to those monies, to those services, and to those protections. And second is also focusing in, and I think is critically important.
Thank
is,
you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we are moving on to our final part of our program. So we will give each candidate 90 seconds to explain why they are the best fit for mayor for Jersey City. We'll be starting off with candidate Solomon.
First, give it up for our hosts, give it up for everybody here. I know it cuts into my time, but it's been a great debate, a great forum. Win or lose this election, I'm getting up the next morning and we're walking my 3 daughters to public school that's just 2 blocks away. We are deeply invested in the future of Jersey City, and we need a city and a city government that is as good as the people of this city. And we can only get it if we elect leaders who have real vision, but who also have real independence. And what I'm so proud is I don't take money from developers, so I can fight to deliver an affordable Jersey City for you. And I don't have any political bosses, so I can fight the political machine that too often delivers subpar services and sky-high property taxes. What we're able to do tonight, in part because of a wonderful forum debate, was really get into ideas. And we have ideas to ensure that every new development in Jersey City includes actually affordable homes with rents at $1,000 a month and $1,500 a month. We have a plan to keep our public servants in Jersey City, our frontline workers with a rent-to-own program, getting rid of vacant lots and abandoned buildings. We have a plan to protect tenants in Jersey City, and we have a plan to go after corruption. Because too often your taxes rise because people are taking money from the city. I was proud to go after corruption, whether it's from boat payments that where people get $1 million for being politically connected, or it's contractors not paying their taxes, because if you didn't pay your taxes, they would take their home away from you. But too many of these people feel impunity. They feel the impunity to take from you, and that ends when I'm mayor. Thank you so much. I ask for your vote on November 4th.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. You all are my village, and I am that child. This is a city that educated me, that elected me, and had my back. And now it's my turn to have yours. When my family immigrated to this country back in 2000, my father's first job was at Newark Airport. On September 11th, he had a job. On September 12th, he lost his job because he had the most common name in the world, Muhammad. And I remember growing up in this city wondering where my place was. And there's one quote from Donald Trump about Jersey City. And he says, I remember watching in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands of people were celebrating on rooftops during 9/11. 1 year after that quote, you elected me as the youngest elected official in the city's history, and you allowed me to dream bigger. And I want to share a very quick story with you. Just 2 days ago, I was canvassing in Ward B, and these two 13-year-olds riding their bikes came up to me. And they walked up to me and they said, are you Musab Ali? And I looked at them and I said, how old are you? And they said, we're 12 and 13 years old. And they said, we've been telling our parents that they have to vote for you because we inspire these children to dream bigger. And I hope that each of you will join me in allowing our young people to see a future where someone can immigrate to this country, go to our public schools, go to the strongest institutions in this country, and come back and serve their city. It would be the greatest honor of my lifetime to be your next mayor. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to be on this stage tonight. I don't come from politics, I come from the people. And if someone would have told me that I will be running for mayor this year, I probably would have looked at them twice. Jersey City deserves better. The opportunities are here. We need leadership that understands the everyday struggle. The leadership that actually knows what a cost of milk is going for today. The rising cost of rents, being pushed out, being pushed around, being silenced. As a police officer, I see the struggle very, very well. I feel it, I understand it. That's why I'm here as a servant for the people, a voice that will speak loudly and boldly for each and every one of you, someone that is willing to protect you. As we know all the things that's going on with the federal government right now, I won't stand for it. So please, this November, consider me, Christina Freeman, as your next mayor. To learn more about my platform, please visit my website, freeman2025.vote, and thank you.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here. This is pretty exceptional anywhere in this country. And I want to say thank you to the library, to Terry, to the Alliance for Everybody. For me, ultimately, this is about how we transform your lives, how we make services better, whether it's public safety, whether it's education, whether it's building affordable housing, whether it's controlling how we spend your money, whether it's tenant advocacy, a whole host of areas. And the reason why humbly I suggest is because what I say is I'm walking down the hill. And I've had the pleasure of being a mayor, being in the state legislature, being a governor. For me, this is where my grandparents came when they came from Ireland. I'd like to be that guy, that person who works as hard as I possibly can to make sure your lives are better, to produce a quality result. As I said earlier, we have a $700 million budget on the municipal side. We have $1.1 billion on the school board side. I will work assiduously day and night to make sure we have a financially accountable system. We deliver quality services, we're transparent, and you understand what those metrics. Respectfully, this isn't a job to learn on the job. Having experience, as many of us here do, will hopefully yield a better result, a better mayoralty, and a better Jersey City. Thank you.
So I'm running for mayor because this is the city I've lived in all my life. And this is the city that I'm going to wind up someday dying in. I care about the city. I've served in elected office 35 years of my life. But I also run a not-for-profit that's resulted in the construction of over 750 real affordable units, the type that James talks about. And that's why I have a plan that will create 2,800 units. And I can show you project by project, lot by lot, how that gets done. 1,400 completed in the first 4 years, another 1,400 started. James talked about right to counsel. They passed it until they had the money. I funded it. I got the county to fund right to counsel for the 2 years before the city was able to come up with the money to do it. We talked about college opportunities for young people. Over 20 years ago, I worked as a freeholder then to create the Scholars Program at Hudson County Community College to make sure every young person that couldn't afford that college got an opportunity to go there. And the state and others have jumped on that in the years to come. And just today, working with the Housing Authority, we got HUD to create a waiver. So there are now 426 families that are receiving emergency housing from us that can now be able to get their Section 8 certificates to address what we talked about earlier with those young families. Judge me not by what I say I'm going to do, judge me by what I've done throughout my career. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of the candidates. Thank you to the Jersey City Free Public Library, the Alliance, and the Van Voorst Neighborhood Association. And most importantly, thank you to all of you for coming out tonight.